Have you ever heard of Elam? If your answer is no, don't feel bad. Even in history books, the name often feels like that one friend Facebook quietly unfriended years ago. But here's the twist. Elam was no second-rate civilization. In fact, it was one of the oldest civilizations on Earth, powerful enough to make Babylon shake in its sandals, and it left behind one of the greatest monuments of the Bronze Age. So why is it that today we know more about sourdough recipes than about the Elamites? Let's rewind the clock, travel back over 4,000 years, and uncover the story of Elam. Mysterious, dramatic, and occasionally hilariously extra. Picture yourself living in Mesopotamia, between the Tigris and Euphrates, cradle of Sumer, Akkad, Babylon. You'd think you've already got enough noisy neighbors. But then, from the Iranian highlands, another group shows up, speaking a language so strange that even today, linguists are still scratching their heads. Elamite. They weren't Semitic like Akkad, nor Indo-European like the later Persians. They were simply Elamites. Their main hub, Susa, a city destined to be both their capital and the stage for endless drama with Mesopotamia. If Mesopotamia was the famous cousin, Elam was that mysterious neighbor. The one nobody fully understands, but everyone has to keep an eye on. Unlike Egypt with its all-powerful pharaohs, or Babylon with Hammurabi and his law code, Elam went for a different model, a loose federation of city-states. Each had its own ruler, but all looked to Susa as the spiritual and political anchor. Think of it like a big family, where every sibling insists on running their own household. But they all still show up for Sunday dinner. And here's the real twist. Elamite women held surprisingly high status. While many ancient cultures kept women in the background, Elam allowed women to rule as queens. Yes, independent, crown-wearing, decree-issuing queens. So, if you were a husband in Elam trying to talk down to your wife, chances are, the next morning you'd be bowing before her throne. So what were their achievements? Architecture crown jewel, Choga Zanbil. A massive ziggurat so spectacular that it's almost the Burj Khalifa of the Bronze Age. Nearly 165 feet tall, made entirely of fired bricks. Instead of rooftop cocktail bars, they had temples to the gods. But still, an architectural gem, if ever there was one. Writing? Initially, the Elamites borrowed cuneiform from the Sumerians, but then they created their own writing system, Linear Elamite, circa 2200 BC, one of the earliest known human writings. What's interesting, it's still not fully deciphered. It's as if they deliberately left us secret documents just to tease future archaeologists. And finally, the art. From bronze statues to ivory carvings, Elamite artisans displayed mastery. Their animal figures, ceramics, and weapons blend strength and elegance. Some of the work is so exquisite that modern viewers have to blink twice before remembering. Wait, that was made 3,500 years ago? Bottom line, the Elamites didn't just compete, they showed off with style. Don't think of Elam as quiet mountain folk sipping tea in the Zagros. No. Elam is a conflict-loving bunch. When Sumer was strong, Elam invaded. When Akkad rose, Elam fought back. And when Babylon reached the height of its power, Elam staged its most infamous stunt, stealing the statue of Marduk, Babylon's supreme god, and bringing it back to Susa in 1155 BCE. Imagine Babylon as the A-list Hollywood stars, and Elam as the cheeky paparazzi who not only took their picture but also stole their Oscar statue. No wonder Babylon held a grudge for centuries. But like every long-running soap opera, the loudest character rarely makes it to the finale. By the 7th century BCE, Elam faced its toughest rival yet, the Assyrian Empire. And leading the charge was King Ashurbanipal, a man equally obsessed with libraries and with burning his enemies to ash. In 647 BCE, Assyria invaded Susa. The result? Utter annihilation. Temples destroyed, palaces burned, the land cursed. The Assyrians bragged that they had turned Elam into a wasteland where even grass could not grow. From that point, Elam was no longer a kingdom, but a memory. Over time, it was absorbed into the mighty Persian Achaemenid Empire. Their language, Elamite, hung on a while longer. It was even one of the 3 official administrative languages of Persia. But their distinct culture disappeared. A civilization that once terrified Mesopotamia was now erased, as if someone had hit delete on history's keyboard. Today, if you visit Iran, you can still see the remnants of Choga Zanbil, standing like a brick-made time machine. You can still admire Elamite treasures in museums, and you can still find scholars pulling their hair out trying to decode linear Elamite. Elam is like that indie musician nobody remembers until you stumble on their old records and realize, wait a second, they were brilliant. They may not have the fame of Egypt or Babylon, but their fingerprints are etched into the DNA of ancient Iran and beyond. So there you have it. Elam, a civilization where queens ruled, where skyscrapers of mud brick touched the sky, where art gleamed, and where Babylon got its gods stolen like a trophy. And then, gone. History unfriended them, leaving behind ruins, legends, and a lot of unanswered questions. If you ever feel like you're being overlooked, remember, even Elam, a Bronze Age superpower, got ghosted by history. The real question is, 3,000 years from now, will future humans remember us? Or will we, too, get unfriended?